Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk guest help today. Another quality replay by IQQ for you from Clan Boops. He's in his G-Sword tank. Oh my gosh. Are we trying to 3-mark this? Why are we playing? I don't know. Is it a good tank? I don't know. I haven't played it yet. You guys let me know, especially QQ. You like this thing? He does mention later in the battle he hates the gun, so I'll take that as a mark down for it, but maybe it's got other stuff going on. He has a pretty good game, and he sent me a note, said, you know that thing you're always talking about? Which one? Not feeding the campers. Absolutely. Well, this is a perfect example of that. Not really about me, though. I did a pretty good considering the POS I was playing. Ah, there we go. There's my answer. He's not impressed by the G-Sword tank, but he has a good game. Like he said, not like 5,000, 10,000 damage. A good game has a lot to do with the win. We're going to go. You guys let me know what the thing is that I talk about a lot that he is going to do here. I think it's two things, actually, that we talk a lot about here. And he said the feeding the campers part, but pick out the other one, because the other one is, I think, part of it. And it kind of goes together, actually. Like most things, it's not analog 1 or 0. It's a bit of both. What's the answer to any question? Probably his story, her story, their story, and the other story. And then the real story, right? That being said, do not mistake me for being a nihilist or of some kind here, as in, boy, you just can't know the truth or you can't know the right way or that kind of stuff. That is not what I'm saying. QQ is a master of the third-person shots. I tend to zoom in a lot more. I don't know. Maybe that's better. I think it's to taste, but I've always wondered if maybe there's a game mechanic reason for that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know how it calculates exactly the dispersion. Let me think about this for a second. Would it really matter if I shot in third person or all the way zoomed into a pixel? Theoretically, the dispersion circle's the same size. So I don't know. Maybe one of you math minds out there, / computer types, programmers, ect, might have an answer on that. What do you prefer? Zoomed in or third person? Same answer, of course. It depends, but some people tend to do one or the other more. Depending on the situation, they'll default one way or the other. All right, how's this battle going? The enemies lost a couple tanks. Get out of the way, fella. I hate that, man. And there's nothing what was the thing I just went by? EBR? Yeah, nothing the EBR was necessarily doing right there. He couldn't have exactly known that QQ was trying to aim in, but you see that a lot in the game, especially when you still have a lot of allies. It's good to have allies, unless they're in front of your gun. All right. I guess I would take the allies getting in front of my gun than lose the allies most of the time. If you look over on the west side, we got a situation developing over there. Nothing good. And honestly, we've talked about this too. This was kind of was it clockwise? This was clockwise. This is a clockwise motion. All the green team went over to the east. Most of the purple team went over to the west, and we're sort of trading sides. So green owns the east, purple owns the west. What do we do with that, though? What do we do with that? There's a comet, a super, and a char. And our hero notices this right away. So this is an even game. Let's take a look at what we got going on here, fellas. And this is the part I was talking about. He said don't feed the campers. I would agree. You got a Bat Chat back there, a Su-130, a Challenger, a 25-2. Is anything unseen? There's a Charioteer probably hiding back there somewhere in the southwest, I would imagine. Even if we close out the Comet and the T-64, it looks like their team is closer to our cap than we are to theirs, and they are in a much better position at the moment anyway to eat up people pushing. And we still have to overcome the Comet and the Super, and we don't know where the Charioteer is. He may already be backing up the Comet and the Super. So for me, QQ's move here was exactly on time. He helped them clean that up pretty well, but there's no reason to continue pushing, right? This is the don't feed the campers part. Why would I take my green team and attempt to get to their cap right now? It makes 0 sense based on what we're seeing on this mini map. And it's good sometimes to, in my opinion anyway, hell, not my opinion, it's true. It's good to find very clear examples of what you're talking about if you're trying to teach a concept. And this is it right here, fellas. We got to go back. And ideally, nearly everybody would student body back towards the cap, clean up whatever pushes, and then worry about their campers. We're going to get a little bit of both here, as you usually do in a pub, because unfortunately QQ is not calling this for his team. Nobody is. EBR rages around and dies. Looks like the RHM, the T25/2, and looks like the T44. Although, to be honest, the T44 is taking a really dangerous line, guys. This is something that doesn't really get talked about enough. Be really careful with this stuff. And maybe he just felt like, holy crap, I have to get back. I don't have time to fade to the east. But wow, that's a dangerous line. He's right out in the open. Consider the lines that you take to get to positions and what its exposure is. Sometimes you don't have a choice. So their EBR kind of comes out. Does the T44 take a hit? Looks like he made it, though. Looks like he made it. All right, bad singing is now open. EBR dies. Good. That is fantastic. So we got rid of that guy. And now we're seeing. So what do you think is going to happen here, guys? We have a significant amount of green still pushing. We have a Burr that came back. That is extremely helpful. An RHM that's supporting. Good on him. That's a great place to be right there. I kind of prefer him over this area, but that's where he got to. And we're sort of still pushing these two over there. When I said I'd like almost everybody to come back, it's not a case of abandoning the flank completely by everybody. You got to be careful with that, because if we pulled all the way back up into the northeast corner and then they pushed a little bit and started lighting us from there, now we're in a crossfire. So you do have to take all that into consideration. Nice job with the bushes here, slaps him for 401. Almost backs out to where he can be seen, but it's a Gonzalo. Doesn't seem to have a whole lot of view range. Plus, I don't think he actually, there we go, now he has a line on him. Whack, 422. That was a nice high roll. What is this thing, a 400? What is this thing? 390. Well, okay, nice little high roll right there. What do we got on the chart? We've got a slight high roll, no, by 1. We've got a high roll 401 and a nice high roll at 422. So don't feed the campers. QQ has declined to do so. He's come back to the cap and done a nice job of dealing with a couple guys that were hanging out right there and pushing. That's maybe the most dangerous tank left on the enemy's team right there, to be honest. And he gets into the middle and starts tackling. Look at this. The green team did not, in fact, completely push into the southeast of the map. We are doing a little bit of, I wouldn't say camping, but carefulness. The RHM makes total sense. The Coons is hanging out there. I don't like that they didn't really send enough back this way, but this team of the 44, the 25-2, and anchored with the G-SOR tank that QQ is driving, they're going to do a nice job of dealing with this. And it may certainly be the case that the rest of his team looked at those three going back and said, all right, for now, these guys got it. We need to hang out in the middle here and do what we can. That is unfortunate. Didn't quite get into lower plate. I think right there, I don't know if that was a gun depression problem, because I don't know how much more he had to point downwards, but that may have been somewhat a zoom-in issue. What is the depression on this tank? I don't know. That was a nice shot there. The Iron Arnie looked a different way, and he just tags that guy. He's going to go right into the lower plate there. Oh, man, it looks like the dispersion sent it just high. Thank you, T44. Gives the guy a bit of a pause, goes right by him, and boom. Nice. Now, this is, you might think, all over but the shouting, but we're now running into the same problem of dealing with campers. But let's take a snapshot of what's going on here in the game. This is a much better situation. We fell back, dealt with their aggressive guys. Unfortunately, their aggressive guys died for the purple team anyway, unfortunately. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Now that we've taken care of their aggressive dudes, because they split up and we didn't as much, now we can envelop the campers, and that is a much easier thing to do. And we have a decent amount of hit points and tanks, which is important because we're probably going to take hits trying to get in here for a number of reasons. That's a really powerful defensive point down there for that cap. This cap has a pretty good one as well, counting that position there, that position, and back over there. This is one of those maps that is difficult to push if you don't have the right tanks or the right numbers. We don't have a scout, that's against us. They don't have a scout, that is good. They also don't have a medium, so there's probably not a CBS involved here. And do we have a medium? We do. We have a Kunza, a Barask, and a T44. There's a good chance we have a CBS on one of these tanks here. Even if we don't, we've got mediums that have decent camo and good vision. We just have to get into this corner without getting annihilated piecemeal. The Su-130 didn't quite get far enough away. Looks like he bailed out late, so he's in trouble. He is spotted now. We're going to have multiple people shooting at him. Killing him would be good. I think he actually survives maybe for a while. We really need to be careful about the Su-130 taking out low hit point guys, because remember, he's hitting about 500 hit point alpha. The Challenger has a very fast-firing low alpha gun. The Charioteer has the nice Hesh, so he can hit pretty hard. And then the 25-2 is also a good 240, I think, 280, whatever it is, alpha gun. So with all those TDs in one corner. They have a significant amount of firepower and could maul us pretty bad. So let's see how we handle this. T-44 comes in. I like this. This is the sharing hit points thing. I'm sorry, Baras comes in. This is a good sharing hit point situation. Both these guys moving in together. We find that dude over there. That would be a good one to get rid of. QQ is going to push up to the next bush. Maybe he even lights a couple of the others. One thing you need to think about in these situations is a lot of people will stop and try to kill the one guy that's spotted. But if you keep on pushing, you've already got him pressed, right? He's moving. If you push in a little bit more, you might get the other ones pressed, get them lit up, and then there's a bunch of options. Once they start shooting their guns, they're not able to. Very surprising to get that. That was a bummer. They won't be able to focus fire as much if they're all getting lit and scrambling around. I hate this gun. There we go. There's QQ's comment on the gun. There's another situation here with the 44 trying to get a shot. I do try generally to avoid getting right up into other people's spaces. Nice shot. 351. I think that's all the hit points he had. Hard to know whether that was high or low roll at that point. I don't know if QQ was thinking about typing in there or saying T-44, get out of my way, or maybe he just paused. Probably had to wipe the sweat off his brow from the try-harding. We still have that Su-130. It looks good, but we got to be careful about walking into him. But look at all the hit points we have. The Barask has plenty of hit points. And now we got a Charioteer and Challenger. I'm really surprised Barask didn't just walk into those guys, get them lit. And that, I think that was a mistake on his part. What he's doing, more than likely, is reloading. What I'd have done after I killed that is just push in and get those dudes lit. Because why go wait for a relatively long reload and maybe not even get another shot when I could just push him and get the assist. And if I survive, I can reload him. He's got all kinds of hit points. People are timid like that, though. Essentially, this is what our hero's going to do. He just walks in, he's like, whatever, shoot me. Don't care, you're not going to kill me. Get one of them lit, that's great. And we get hit by the Charioteer, slaps us pretty hard. I like this move to the left in case he decides to shoot into this on the same line. And this dude's way back here. We're going to slap him one more time for a low roll 367. That's a bit painful. And that's it, fellas. That's the end. 2,917, 624 assists. You know, I said it wasn't really that great of a game. That's a good game. Maybe not for QQ. And again, it's not a 5,000 or 6 or whatever, 1,000 damage game. But that's a good 3,500 combined. Nicely done in a Tier 9 and Tier 8. We're Tier 7s. All right, so we were top tier with a Tier 9. I think this was a game with great examples of those two things. Don't feed their campers if you don't need to, and you didn't need to. In fact, it wasn't even need to, it's must do. Someone had to go back and deal with the cap. So those guys didn't jump on it. And nicely done. You could make an argument for, well, you should go to this corner in the forest right here. Well, somebody had to go light these dudes. Sometimes this corner, you can't quite see far enough, depending on your vision. So we've got our hero goes straight north, goes across because he knows that little ridge line's there and there's some bushes you can use to spot. Does a nice job spotting, gets some assist out of it, gets some hits. Then cleans up the rest of the aggressors. We got a, what was it? Iron Arnie attempting to be back here as well. And then we envelop it. So not only do we not feed their campers, also go back and deal with the flank / issue at our own cap. Then we push and envelop what's left and do a nice job pushing into what's left of the campers. It's hard to get a more clear example of one of the most basic concepts in this game, and this is it right here. QQ, thanks for sending that in. Nice game. 2 kills in there as well to chip into the top of that. That is all I've got for today, guys. Let me know what you think down below. See ya.